Well, thanks again for checking in to see what I might have to say about the coming readings for this Sunday. I want to say right away that, again, I'm just choosing to look at one reading, and there's a reason for it. Because, in my opinion, there's nothing more relevant than this reading from Amos. In fact, Amos is the reading for the time in which we live. I'm reminded that the most frequently quoted text from Scripture that Martin Luther King actually used many, many times is from this very same chapter, Amos 5. A bit further down, it's not included in the lectionary readings, but you'll remember that he said often, "Let justice roll down like a rushing river." And also a bit further down in this same chapter, we have these wonderful statements like, "Don't send me any more sacrificial animals. I don't want any of your sacrificial animals. I don't want your liturgies. Stop singing me your hymns. I'm tired of your solemn assemblies." Well, chapter 5 of Amos is a cutting edge of a sword. Now, I want to say this about the reading from the Gospel, Mark 5. At the very end of that reading, we have one of these epic statements from Jesus that are pretty astounding. And this one, I think I would have to agree, has a good chance of having some authenticity in terms of what the historical Jesus might have actually said. And there he says, there will be many who are first who will be last, and last who will be first. That is exactly the sentiment in the Amos reading from 5. It is also more poetic, biting, and illustrative, and even you could say graphic. Jesus and Amos are pretty close together, but I'm going to choose to focus on Amos, and I hope you will too. By the way, I have put up a very playful and liberal translation from the Hebrew of those readings from Amos. I've included one verse more, the prior verse, which I think really sets more and more relevant. So if you could do it. And by the way, I'm holding my Hebrew Bible here, and I want to tell you that once again, as I looked at all the readings and looked at the Greek of the New Testament readings and the Psalm in both Hebrew and the Septuagint, and then I picked up Amos, and I want to tell you, I was drawn again and again and again back to the Hebrew. In fact, I just clothed myself in it. It's so vivid. It's so engaging. And I tried to convey some of that excitement and drama in my translation. Now, it's not the kind of translation you ought to read in public, or I didn't mean it for it to be published in any other way, because it's very, very vivid, and I've added a lot of words to try to draw what I consider to be some of the background that's not immediately understandable unless you... Well, about this Amos reading, I want to point out that Amos has some words that he uses again and again. And those words are often with a kind of rhythm that suggests there's been some study of words that will really, really communicate graphically. In some cases, we have words. In fact, in this patch of reading from Amos, on 2 or 3 occasions, we have some words that are used so rarely that basically the whole best example you can find in any of the best lexicons would be right from this chapter of Amos. He uses this kind of funny word when he talks about Gilgal that I've tried to indicate in my translation in a playful way. So this is poetic artistry at work. And remember now that one of the bases for this is the idea of repetition. In other words, get an idea. Don't just hit it with a hammer once. Hit it twice. And so often he'll say things like, "Oh, I'm fully aware of the vast catalog of your libelous work of perverting justice. And I'm also aware of the fact you've taken big shovels and dug a pit and tried to bury righteousness in it." Hitting the same idea in these 2 different ways. So if you look at my translation, you'll see how that's borne out. What's the point of this? Well, I'm not going to tell you how you should think about it or how you should preach. But let me tell you, if you sit and slowly read my translation carefully, you are probably going to shake your head and say, man, did somebody write that maybe today in a column in the New York Times? Because wow, that's right on target. And the mistake would be to focus on the judgment pronounced by Amos on behalf of Yahweh. I've tried to really emphasize in the translation that also it's not just God who is being spoken of. It's what you should do. That is repeated, and it is said again and again in this short passage. You need to look for God. You need to look for the good and do the good. And most of all, you need to get busy and fix the injustice of the justice system. It's being perverted by the powerful and wealthy. But here's an example of the way in which all we have to do is read the plain meaning of a text and to say out loud to ourselves, that's about the most relevant thing that we could possibly think about and talk about and do today. That was the case for Martin Luther King. He lived in the book of Amos. I think it's ironic that the call for the justice that was actually a part of the Constitution and the laws of the United States that was not being observed and made active, that fired much of what Martin Luther King had to say. And so today, we have great laws and protections. And the question now is, to what degree are they protected? Well, thanks for being with me. I look forward to talking to you next week.